Hello and thank you all for joining us. You're watching Addis News Hour with the news. I'm Tabitha John. Do stay with us. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has inaugurated today Yirgalem Integrated Agro-Industrial Park. The park is located in Sidama region, southern Ethiopia. The Premier also visited irrigation wheat cluster farming in Oromia region. Kasahun Chani has the details.
Prime Minister Abiy inaugurates Yirgalem Integrated Agro-Industry Park in Sidama region.
Here today, our inauguration of this agro-industrial park clearly indicates the solid hope of Ethiopia's future prosperity. I would like to appreciate you, today's youth, for your tireless efforts of preserving the Sidama culture, identity, and development aspirations we wish. I assure you that, being hand in glove, we can take forward without any hesitation the prosperity of the region and the country at large.
The first phase of the park, which is being developed by Sidama Region Industry Parks Development Corporation, is now completed, enabling partial production to commence. Out of the 11 production units built so far, 4 have gone operational, 7 others are preparing to start production after soon. The industry is currently processing avocado oil, honey, and coffee capsule. Meanwhile, Premier Abiy, along with the Chief Administrator of Oromia Region, Shimellis Abdissa, and former Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn, have visited irrigation wheat cluster farming in Shoba district, RC zone of Oromia Region, which is extensively engaged in irrigation wheat farming as part of national efforts to substitute wheat import with local products. During the occasion, it is stated that 300,000 farmers are active in the region's cluster farming approach, and as a result, 160,000 hectares of land in this year has been achieved in the region. Similarly, the Premier reviewed efforts to mechanize agriculture in the Oromia region with a visit to Kenya Agriculture Equipment Manufacturing site in Shashamane. It was also noted that the public-private partnership has enabled the assembly and distribution of 737 tractors to farmers. The region aims to farm 1.3 million hectares with the use of tractors.
Ethiopia has launched today a nationwide COVID-19 vaccination campaign where the frontline health experts and top government officials have become the first to receive the inoculation. Alula Teklamariam has more.
Africa is urgently rolling out COVID-19 vaccines. This through vaccine preparation plans will help ensure African countries quickly immunize the most vulnerable people. Ethiopia, as the second most populous nation in Africa, officially launched vaccination today in its different parts. Addis Ababa, Dreddawa, Oromia, Harare, Somali, Tigray, southern Ethiopia, Afar, Amhara and Benshangul Gumuz regions have started the vaccination. Health Minister Dr. Leata Dessa has a vaccination launched and taken herself the first shot in Mekelle city in the presence of regional officials, where CEO of the interim administration of Tigray, Mulunega, has also been vaccinated. Meanwhile, Chief of the Amhara Regional State, Agenyo Teshagar, had a COVID-19 vaccination launched at Bahar City Felegayot Hospital. While receiving the first shot of the vaccine, Agenyo expressed his gratitude to health professionals who've been fighting against the virus regardless of the potential risks.
የክልላችን የጤና ባለሙያዎች የሀገራችን የጤና ባለሙያዎች የፈጸሙት ጀግንነት ምንጊዜም ሲወሳ ይኖራልና
History will always remember our health professionals for their irreplaceable roles in fighting coronavirus since the outbreak of the pandemic. I, on behalf of myself and the regional administration, would like to thank you all for your contribution in this regard. It is great relief that science is able to produce a vaccine to curb the spread of the virus.
Head of the Amhara Regional State Health Bureau, Dr. Melkamo Abte, said priorities will be given to frontline health experts in the vaccination process.
ቀጥተኛ ተሳታፊ የሆኑትን ፊት ለፊት የሚገኙትን የጤና ባለሙያዎች ነው መጀመሪያ ክትባቱ የሚያሳትፈው.
Health professionals will be beneficiaries of the first phase of the vaccination. Second, it will be made to vaccinate vulnerable people, including the elderly over 60 years old. But one shouldn't forget that vaccination does not replace our protection efforts. We need to strengthen preventive measures as usual whether we are vaccinated or not.
But the same token, Oromia Regional State has launched the vaccination at Mojo Town in the presence of Chairperson of the Oromia State Council as well as Head of the Oromia State Health Bureau. Like other regional states, the Oromia region will also prioritize frontline health experts and people with health cares during the vaccination. Addis Ababa City also commenced the COVID-19 vaccination today at Eka Kotebe Hospital under the supervision of members of the Ethiopian House of People's Representatives, senior government officials, and representatives of the UN and other regional and international organizations. Redawa, Harare, and Somali regional states have also begun the vaccination, with senior federal government and leaders of the respective states observing the events.
Ethiopians living in the United States urged the US and the UN to denounce the TPLF rather than supporting it. Meanwhile, politicians suggested that the US and other foreign powers should support the ongoing rehabilitation endeavors in Tigray instead of trying to intervene in Ethiopia's internal affairs. Emmanuel Jorge reports.
Demonstrations have continued being held in various parts of the world to protest foreign intervention in Ethiopia's internal affairs. The demonstrators filling the streets of US and European cities condemned the UN Security Council in the US, among others, for continuing to support the TPLF's mafia clique. They further denounced the erroneous propaganda by some international media agencies. Some of the demonstrators urged the UN and the US to not support the TPLF, which they once recognized as terrorists.
That they attacked our national defense force in their sleep and murder young men and women, and abusive. They drove over them with their trucks. They committed heinous crimes that the world should loudly rebuke. Yet we have UN and US government trying to instigate and start a war on Ethiopia. We rebuke that. We want Biden administration to denounce a terrorist organization. By the way, they have registered on their database. They're still registered in the national database as terrorists. So why is it taking this long for the international community to denounce a terrorist group? We are done. The people of Ethiopia are done with this terrorist group. We've had them for 27 years. We pushed them. No one helped us, but the people, the young Oromo man who died for it, so that we are able to reform our country.
One of the rally coordinators in Washington, D.C., Ledat Muleta, told ETV that Ethiopian diaspora are working on strategic plans to help Ethiopians' voice on the US and UN be heard across the globe.
We have plans to make it easy for Ethiopian Americans to reach out to their representatives. We are working on putting together letters. We are looking to get get ourselves engaged with Senate hearings. There's a lot of hearings that is going to be coming up on Ethiopia, so we plan on getting involved. We also want to do several forums, continue to engage the politicians here, galvanizing the community, the Ethiopian diaspora. And also one more last thing I believe is very important is to get a hold of strategic people who will consult us, because there are people who are experienced on this matter.
Stating that foreign powers must not try to manage other sovereign nations despite irregularities and problems in the nations, leaders said this is against the very principle of diplomacy.
There are a lot of things that are not perfect in this world. And this does not mean, though, we can go and manage other countries. What we do is we can support each other. We can encourage each other to do better. And I think Ethiopia needs to be supported in further encouraging this transformation. I'm not saying it's perfect. The US was not perfect initially either, and it's still not. So I think we really need that. I believe that's what foreign relations is it's not pointing out and saying you're doing wrong here, or you need to change this. It's really advocating and say, hey, this worked for us. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that?
Musa Adam, an Ethiopian politician, for his part condemned the UN Security Council for its unwarranted interventions on Ethiopia.
We have internal issues. and we understand that we might need some international support. But we also know that we have been free since we have established as a country, so that we will never allow any, whether they are international or any other organized groups, to intervene and challenge the sovereignty of Ethiopia in any case.
Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Dammaqe Mokonnin, along with other high government officials, have launched the Taitu Culture and Education Center, which is founded by artist Alam Tsahai Wadaju. Dammaqe said on the occasion that the center will have paramount importance in preserving and promoting cultural, historical, and artistic values of the country. The Deputy Premier appreciated the founder of the center, artist Alam Tsahai Wadaju, for her achievements in various engagements, including women empowerment, and called others to follow her steps. Supreme Court President Maza Ashannafi, Deputy Mayor of Addis Ababa Adanech Abebe, founder of the center, artist Alam Tsahai Wadaju, and representatives of various communities have attended the launching ceremony. Taitu Culture and Education has been operating in the United States for more than 20 years. The center is named after Empress Taitu, who is known for her effective and wise leadership in the modern history of Ethiopia. Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Ethiopia is fully cognizant of its obligations under international humanitarian and human rights law to which Ethiopia is a party. The statement issued by the country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs today denounces U.S. Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken's accusations of ethnic cleansing of Tigrayans to the House Foreign Affairs Committee on 10th March 2021. Sintayo Tamrat presents the full account of the statement by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
The Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has issued a statement Saturday morning underlining that the government of Ethiopia is fully cognizant of its obligations under international humanitarian and human rights law to which Ethiopia is a party. The federal government undertook the law enforcement operations in the Tigray region with utmost precaution to avoid as much as possible collateral damage on civilians and civilian institutions, the statement indicated. The Ethiopian government also takes any allegations of human rights abuses and crimes extremely seriously. That is why it acted swiftly to undertake the necessary investigation to verify those allegations and bring perpetrators to justice, the statement said. It is in this context that a team composed of representatives from the Federal Attorney General and the Federal Police Commission has been deployed in the Tigray region to carry out this investigative work. In addition, the statement said, the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission has been investigating and reporting on human rights issues, including the Maikadra massacre, civilian casualties, sexual violence, and allegations of discriminatory treatment. The outcome of these investigations will enable the government to bring the perpetrators to justice and comprehensively address alleged human rights violations and crimes that have occurred in the Tigray region, it pointed out. The ministry also indicated that the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission has already publicized some of its preliminary findings and recommendations from its independent investigations. Furthermore, the Ethiopian government has demonstrated its readiness to engage positively and constructively with all the relevant regional and international stakeholders in responding to the serious allegations of human rights abuses and crimes. In this regard, it has already expressed its willingness to collaborate with international human rights experts. In this regard, it has already expressed its willingness to collaborate with international human rights experts and, if need be, conduct joint investigations with the relevant bodies. The statement explains it is in this spirit that the government has been engaging with the Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights, and now it has proposed to cooperate and engage with the relevant African Union mechanisms, including the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, in the investigation of alleged human rights violations in the Tigray region. Discussions are currently underway to look at the modalities for implementing this commitment. However, the allegations, in fact outright accusations of ethnic cleansing of Tigrayans by U.S. Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken during his testimony to the House of Foreign Affairs Committee on 10th of March 2021 is a completely unfounded and spurious verdict against the Ethiopian government. Nothing during or after the end of the main law enforcement operation in Tigray can be identified or defined by any standards as a targeted intentional ethnic cleansing against anyone in the region. That is why the Ethiopian government vehemently opposes such accusations, the ministry underlined. Overblowing things is out of proportion while the Ethiopian government has made its position unequivocally clear on the need for thorough investigation in collaboration with regional and international partners does not serve the purpose of justice other than unnecessarily politicizing the issue, the statement said. It further stressed that the Ethiopian government attaches particular importance to its long-standing and strategic relations with the United States. It is committed to work closely with the current U.S. administration in further strengthening and boosting this important bilateral relationship over the coming years, the statement noted. The statement finally appreciates the support of the U.S. to the ongoing reform agenda in Ethiopia and expresses government's readiness as usual for resuming frank exchange of views on bilateral and regional issues of common interests and concerns.
After the law enforcement operation in the state of Tigray, officials of China Gejuba Group Corporation have paid a visit to the state of Tigray to launch potable water access project based on a contract agreement to provide safe, clean water in the region. Based on the visit, the officials noted there is no civil work damage, but some machinery needs renovation work. The corporation's project director general, Tu Lei, said, due to the law enforcement operation, the project has been postponed for over 4 months, and further research is needed to identify the damage of the project.
After the conflict, we come here, we surprised. So especially our camp, you see our facilities, production facilities, so everything damaged. Just we see some damage, and you see very important, like the control panel, all of this equipment, which is very important for this equipment. We operate them. So we take all the photos. We have to send back to our expert to evaluate and how much damage and how much time it will take to repair them, because some parts we need to take it from China. So that will take time. And
State of Tigray Water Resource Bureau Project Director General Nugus Wolde-Giorgis, for his part, said the provisional administration is working tirelessly for a timely completion of the project.
Since 4th of November 2020, when the TPLF attacked the North Command, the construction of this water project has been interrupted for over 4 months. But we need the contractor to restart this project. I hope the provisional administration and the federal government will manage this project properly.
እቲ ዋና ዝዓበየ ግን ኣብቲ ድሕንነት ዝምልከት ከም